each week as they go head-to-head and duke it out for gridiron supremacy. You can hear My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger weekdays from 6 to 8 Eastern on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM 204.
How are you, my friend? Are you howling, Mad Dog? You sounded good, man.
And you can hear Christopher Mad Dog Russo weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Sirius XM 82.
For you to sit there is ridiculous. Nobody wants to hear this.
The lines are moving and the money is flying.
Show me the money!
Let the battle begin. Here they are. It's Mad Dog and Musburger.
Yes, indeed. Brent was a little week off this week, off to travel, so his cohort is my main man, Vinny, who's in charge of that sport book out there in L.A., in Vegas, and he's going to have some fun with us here on a busy day. By the way, the picks last week, although Brent and Vinny combined beat me head-to-head with the Tennessee-Baltimore game, they already owe me a trip to Vegas from last year. Maybe I'll get another trip here as well because I was 2-1. They were 1-2. I'm 10-7-1. They are 9-8-1, and Brent's Picks, of course, is brought to you by Grainger. The products and services that you need when you need them, Grainger's got your back to help you keep your facility running. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. Mr. Vinny is with us. Vin, how are you today, pal, okay?
Very good, Mad Dog. Good to be with you, my friend. And we're waiting for you to come here to cash in.
I have to do that, and I will do. And boy, Brent, that's a rough trip. Let me get a little rundown on on that disaster in London with his team losing 26-3. Let me hear your take on that. Go ahead.
Well, we did speak about it, and of course he was still traveling on Monday. Got back into the studio on Tuesday, and we asked him about it. Of course, here's the greatest thing too. After the game and after Coach Gruden's comments, everything, Brent had a terrific take on it, Mad Dog, and he said, "Well, thank God for a bye week." And so here they are.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but his thought was this: it is a rebuild. The biggest challenge that he cited for the coaching staff is obviously the training staff as well, to get the team as healthy as possible, but just to keep the team focused and have them realize that this process is it's not a sprint, it is a marathon, and the marathon goes beyond this year. I mean, obviously, once they get rid of Khalil Mack for draft picks, they're trying to build for the future. So I think that's the focus here, and I think the coaching staff and the training staff is on that wagon.
I did hear that Gruden got the travel was weird, and the Raiders were not quite physically ready to go because of how they handled getting to London. That was a big rumor this week. What's your take on that, Vinny? What can you tell me there?
Yeah, Mad Dog, that was something too, and Brent did point that out, that the Seahawks did get there at least probably 24 to 36 hours earlier, and I think they were simply better prepared. As far as the Raiders, they got there, I believe it was a day later, and he felt that probably impacted the team somewhat as well.
Oh, he did. Yeah. So he thought he thought the travel thing was a problem as far as the Raiders were concerned.
It worked against the Raiders. The travel, the way they traveled, was definitely it bode much better for the Seahawks last week than it did the Raiders.
All right, now, the books last week. Did you guys have a good weekend with the NFL and all the baseball? Let me hear how you guys are doing and how the public is doing with bets from one Friday to another.
Well, last week was Saturday was a little bit back and forth, but overall came out ahead. And again, that speaks to the volume of the games. There's just so many more games, Mad Dog. So a good day overall for the house. Sunday there was some, it's a seesaw, right? It goes back and forth. Last week, the good games for the house were actually the Redskins-Panthers game, because that game had a switch of favorites. So if you recall, Redskins opened up as a slight favorite, and then the Panthers went off as the favorite in that game. The Jets game, we wound up needing the Jets for quite a bit of money, and the Steelers game. So those games went to the house. But the Texans,
I would think the over of Kansas City hurts you a lot against the Patriots.
It did. But we actually did need the game. We did need the Chiefs in the game, and you bring up a good point, because as we spoke last week, Mad Dog, that game was the biggest game of the day, not just because of the matchup and the interest in the matchup, two extremely popular teams, but the fact of the matter is that's the last game of the day. That's the get-out game or the gravy game, depending on how folks did. So everything was riding to the Patriots. That game went off at 4 and 4.5 in some places. And, of course, we needed the Chiefs to cover. They did. They only lost by 3. But the fact that it went over bailed the public out a bit, and so they did well on that game. So a little bit back and forth.
So most people bet the Patriots in that game last week at 3.5 and 4?
Yes, they did. They did bet the Patriots. We were high on the Patriots in that game.
Yeah, I would think that would be the case. Okay, now how about the baseball? I would think you did well. I would think a lot of people bet the Astros in the series, so I would think you did well in the Red Sox deal. Is that correct?
Yes, we did do well. Yes, we did well. Better. The best result in that series, Mad Dog, was yesterday because Verlander got a tremendous amount of support yesterday. He was anywhere from $1.85 $1.80 to $1.85 on the opener. Close to 2-1 yesterday. So the fact of the matter is, folks felt that the Astros would right things, especially with Verlander on the hill.
So they bet Verlander.
They bet Verlander yesterday very heavily. So we wound up needing the Red Sox last night.
You know, it's funny, and I'm thinking about Milwaukee today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is your philosophy about somebody? Let's say somebody bet the Astros to win the series.
Mm-hmm.
And once they fall behind 3-1, they're probably not going to win the series. But then, for whatever the reason, they think Verlander is going to stave off elimination for another day, and almost like they double down and go again on you. Is that no? I don't like to do that. If you got to bet on a team for a series or for a game and they're losing, to go back at them in another game because you like a pitcher or like a matchup, that usually is a killer. What's your take on that?
Yeah. So if I understand your point, you had the Astros in the series.
You had the Astros at -130. You're going to lose the bet after you get Game 4 out of the way,
right?
And then you say, you know what, I'm going to lose the bet, but let me bet Verlander. I think I'm going to win. You almost double. It's like a double whammy for crying out loud.
Yeah, you're better off at that point. When they're down 3-1, just hold off. If you're going to do anything, maybe you bet the other side for a little piece. But at that point, no, you don't want to double down at that point, especially if you're laying money. And to your point, which is important, you laid $1.30 already. Don't put up some more. Yesterday you would have laid almost 2-1, so it would have been
right.
You're exactly right. Would not have been the prudent thing to do yesterday.
All right, what's the line tonight with the Brewers?
Tonight, the Dodgers opened as a -115 favorite. It's down to -110.
And what are the Brewers?
Brewers are +101 right now. So basically even money on the Brewers tonight. The question mark here is Miley, right? I mean, we saw what happened the other day. He pitched a one batter the other day, which is quite bizarre. You wonder how his mindset is, but if they had that planned, I'm not so sure they did because his reaction
they're claiming they did, so let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. The money coming in on the Brewers. It's the same principle as yesterday. Obviously, the price is different, but the same principle as yesterday, right? The Brewers are going to come back home here and try to make a series of it. So the Brewers are getting the action right now, and again, down 5 cents.
Yeah, I think the Brewers are going to win tonight too, but I got to bet with them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So do you double down and you might lose them? That means you get beat twice. That's what scares me a little bit.
No,
you understand?
Yeah, no. You're exactly right.
Lay low with it.
Yep.
Lay low. Okay.
Yep.
Did you get a lot of futures bet with the LeBron Lakers and the NBA with teams with regular season totals? Did you do well with that this week as the NBA season embarked?
Well, let's talk about last night's game to start with, which was a terrific handle. And what's beautiful about the game last night, Mad Dog, was that it was the last game of the day. So a 7:35 Pacific start. This is going to be a tremendous handle for those of us here in Las Vegas. As long as when the Lakers are the late game on the West Coast or the Warriors are, those games and the popularity of those two teams in this market is going to be enormous. So last night's handle was terrific, especially with LeBron going there. We did get interest on the Lakers. Lakers had more future tickets this year than any other team.
About 48.5. Is
Yeah.
that the number, Vinny?
Well, the regular season wins for the Lakers were 48.5. Yes, they did take the Lakers.
And people bet LeBron and took the over.
And they bet the over a little bit, but they bet the Lakers more on the future book. Even before, when the speculation was it might be the Lakers, and we had some speculation too. We built it into the opener of 20-1, and they went now they're down to about 6-1. So lots of Laker interest. It's always been a Laker town, a Laker market, and they certainly amplified that with LeBron going there in the offseason.
All right, now let's do some picks. Again, I'm up by a game. I
Yes.
was 2-1. Vinny and Brent combined were 1-2, so I get a chance to go first. We'll hit the music, and away we go now. As far as picks in Week 7 is concerned, we'll do the lines as we move it along. All right, I like Dallas to beat the Redskins. They're getting 2, number 1. They always beat the Redskins in D.C., number 2. The Redskins got their win last week. The Cowboys feel good about themselves, about obviously burying Jacksonville. Ezekiel Elliott against that defense. For whatever the reason, I know Dallas is not good on the road, but the Redskins are up and down, and they had their up week off the down week. Now they're due for another down week. Elliott, the Cowboys, close game. I mean, it's going to be, 20-17. I mean, it's going to be a very close game, Vinny. But I'll take the 2, and I'll take Dallas in game number 1.
Sharp pick, Mad Dog. The sharp money is coming in on the Cowboys. That game is down to 1, and we're probably going to see pick before
Really?
we get to
Wow.
Sunday. Yep. All right, for
Okay.
Brent's first pick, and I went over these with him last evening before he headed out of town. The Chargers minus the 6.5. 3 wins in a row. Looks like they're showing, at least recently, the form that had them as the division favorites heading into the season. The only 2 losses they have this year are to the Rams and the Chiefs. Both those teams are combined 11-1. Titans are regressing, let's face it, while the Chargers are moving forward. Tennessee doesn't score a lot of points, and in this league you have to. So Chargers minus the 6.5 for Brent's first pick.
Yeah, interesting. If the Jaguars are ever going to get anything going, it's going to be right now. 2 terrible losses in a row. The banged-up quarterback for Houston, who had to work awfully hard to beat Buffalo. After 2 emotional wins, Bills and Cowboys. The Jaguars get Carlos Hyde, little shot in the arm. The Jaguars will have 2 terrible losses. The spread's a little high for a team that never scores. It's 5. But I do think that the Jaguars lost their first divisional game at home this year to Tennessee. I think they're going to regroup and beat Texas. I know Watson scares me, but I'm going to take Jacksonville minus the 5 against Houston. He's hurt. He's banged up a little bit. They don't score a ton of points. They won 3 very moderate games against Indianapolis, Buffalo, and Dallas. I'll take the Jags giving up the 5 at home against Houston. That's game 2.
Good point, Mad Dog. Let's face it, the Texans have escaped the last few weeks, right?
Good way to look at it. Yes, indeed.
All right, we're going to go Brent's second pick. The Saints plus the 2.5. And, I talked about scoring with the Chargers in his first pick. Well, let's face it, New Orleans has put up 119 points in their last 3 games. Now, granted, they were against defenses they don't even compare to the Ravens. And the Ravens haven't given up a second-half touchdown this year. I know that. But sometimes you have to go contrarian. Here's the key for this one for Brent. It's a battle of the quarterbacks. And when it's Drew Brees versus Joe Flacco, we're going to go with Brees. So go against the Ravens and that defense here. Going to go with the Saints plus the 2.5.
Well, you get Breeze with points on the road. That's a good money line bet. You know that there? What are the Saints on the money line, Vinny? Do you know?
Yeah, we got the.
That's a good money line bet. What are the Saints? A plus 110, plus 120? What are the Saints there on the money line?
Saints plus $1.30. You can get a $1.30 on the Saints.
Boy, that's a good bet.
Yeah, you'll be able to find $1.30 if you shop it.
You know what? That's a good bet, Vin. Mm-hmm. The Saints on the money line with Breeze on the road. I like that one. I could see running with that. I'm going to take the Giants, and I like the money line with them. What's the Giants money line? I like them straight up with the 5.5. What are they getting in the money line?
Giants on the money line for you, Mad Dog. Here it is.
Plus what? Plus 150,
plus,
160?
Plus you can get 2-1 still. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. It opened higher. It opened higher, 220, but you might be able. If you go early, you might get that 2-1.
I mean,
don't wait till Sunday.
Atlanta's defense stinks. I mean, they barely beat Tampa. Giants say the extra few days off. Phil Simms has been telling me for about 10 days about how the Giants are going to kill these next 2 defenses in Atlanta and Tampa. That, to me, is a good one. when you write the Giants off, they win. When you think they're going to be good, they stink. I would take the over. The over is probably about 55. I'd take the over, but I'm going to take the 5.5, and I'm going to take the Gents against Atlanta on Monday night.
Solid. And just so you know, another sharp play by you. That game is down to 4. How about that? Off of the 6-point opener, so off the board. All right, for Brent's third pick.
The lines that we have with Vinny, I'm going by those. That's where the 5.5
Yes,
came
and that's the Westgate Super Contest. Yes, static lines over there. The Lions, for Brent's third pick, minus the 2.5 against the Dolphins. Listen, Dolphins have been, they were surprised last week. They've been a surprise all year. But the Lions, they're off their bye. Matthew Stafford has been very effective since the opening week loss against the Jets. Brent's thought here is real simple. Let Brock Osweiler beat me 2 weeks in a row. So the Lions minus the 2.5 against the Dolphins this week.
Vinny's picks with Brent. You just heard one of them, of course. He likes the Saints getting the 2.5 on the road, and he likes the Chargers minus 6.5 against Tennessee. I will run with the Giants. I will run with and I like the Saints money line. I will run with Dallas. And I will take a run. My third game was... Who was my third game now?
The Giants, the Jags, minus the 5, and the Cowboys
and
plus
the Jaguars.
Yes.
And the Jaguars.
Yes.
All right, anyway, so lay off Milwaukee, huh? Don't take a run at him tonight. Lay him off.
Nah, no. You're good. You're in good shape. Believe. You got to believe to achieve.
I will talk to you and Brent next week. Good job, pal.
Take care, Mad Dog. All right.
Last week, here's some of what you missed.
When it came to Ole Miss and Mississippi State, they said, listen, people are going to bet them anyway, so why don't we go ahead and book the bets? And that is the most intelligent answer. I mean, I don't know what New Jersey's thinking of not booking Rutgers. I mean, if anybody wants to go against Rutgers, is more likely the case, they can still get a bet down.
You're correct. You have to applaud how they've allowed the people to come in, make the wagers. They know what people want to bet on, and they've really given us the flexibility to offer wagers, you know, that the other, like you said, like Atlantic City not being able to take wagers on Jersey teams.
It has sent a message to the rest of the roster that it's probably more important to be a good talker than a great fighter. And I've never felt that was a good thing. I thought it started with Chael Sonnen when he got a completely undeserved title shot against John Jones at 205, when he hadn't won a fight at 205 in 8 years. I think it has become that on steroids with Conor McGregor. And in no universe does he deserve a rematch, let alone a rematch for a title.
Don't be locked into the construct of ATS, of pre-flop bets, if you will. All kinds of ways to bet, and hopefully you will find the vehicle at different times that works for you.
Takes time.
That's the other thing, man. And I say this just about like media that covers sports gambling. You can't know sports betting in a week. You can't know it in a month.
You're gonna take some lumps here or there. You're gonna have some things that happen.
You can't know it in a year. It has to be in your DNA. You have to live this for years and years and years before you really know the nuances of this.
Yeah, I think there's a good case to be made here for Texas Tech. First of all, TCU is a home favorite here in Fort Worth lately. Not too good value, 2-11-1, last 14 in that role. I'm not sure TCU is much better, if any better, than Texas Tech. And I'm not sure if Alan Bowman, the freshman quarterback, can't go, and it looks like he probably won't tonight. The Texas Tech might not be better off with the backup Jet Duffy, who actually came in there against West Virginia and rallied the Red Raiders 2 weeks ago in their last game.
All right, Vinny Magliulo, let's recap the heads-up battle between Brent Musburger and Christopher Mad Dog Russo for Week 7. Christopher Russo, who went up last week, overall standings for the season. Christopher Russo, 10-7-1 for the Mad Dog, and Brent, 9-8-1 for this week. Mad Dog went with the Cowboys plus the 2. He took the Jaguars -5, looking to rebound. And the Giants plus 5.5. For Brent, the Chargers -6.5 in their game across the pond against the Titans in London. The Saints plus 2.5. And the Lions -2.5. I hope you folks enjoy this because these two guys, first of all, they're very good friends. They have a lot of fun kidding each other, going back and forth. We do owe, Brent and I do owe Christopher Mad Dog Russo the wager from a year ago. So the fun he's due to come out, and when he does, we'll be looking forward to it. I personally enjoy listening to those two go back and forth, have at it. They do put, I have to say, they put a lot of thought into it. They don't just wing it. I spent about 15 minutes with Brent last night on his picks, and when I look at Mad Dog's picks, certainly give him credit. He's got some sides, particularly the Cowboys at +2, which is now down to 1, and even pick them in a couple of spots. And the Giants plus the 5.5. And again, we go off of the static lines that are featured at the Westgate for the Super Contest every week. So credit both Brent and Mad Dog for what they do and going head-to-head, having fun, and providing some insight and entertainment to you folks out there. So when we come back, we'll take a brief break, pay some bills, and Ron Flatter will have an update. My Guys in the Desert next on Sirius XM 204 VSiN.
I'm Brent Musburger, reminding you that the football betting season is here. There is nothing like it. Are you ready to celebrate the thrill of victory and cash a ticket even on defeats? Sharpen your edge now with the help of Matt Humans, Dave Tooley, and the rest of My Guys in the Desert. We'll get you prepared for the football season with exclusive handicapping stories and data that you won't find anywhere else. Go to vsin.com/subscribe for the package that makes sense for you, including a 1-week trial at no charge. Our new all-access subscription includes Point Spread Weekly, VSiN's digital magazine designed to make you a better handicapper and avoid the agony of defeat. You'll also get VSiN's 140-plus page college football betting guide, followed by our comprehensive pro football betting guide. Sign up now, vsin.com/subscribe. That's vsin.com/subscribe. Remember, cashing tickets is what it's all about.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
And a pro team getting 7 points is a big, big deal also. So even though they got their ass kicked yesterday, you can understand why the +7 came in.
Who has more to play for the next week, in essence? A team that lost